Hello everyone, I am back. My name is Vanessa and the name of my channel is called Gnostic Knowledge. And what I am doing on this channel is reading from a book. And the name of that book is called Letters and Numbers, written by Zachry Hubbard. You can get this book by visiting his YouTube channel. He has two, Gematria Effect News and Gematria Effect Sports. And in the description of each of the videos that he produces, he leaves a link for you to purchase the book. And the book costs $5. The best $5 you'll ever spend in your life, because this information is just priceless in my view. And every human being on this planet should know this information. Once you pay for the book, it will come to you as a PDF file via email. So when you get your email, make sure to save the book to your hard drive on your phone or whichever device you're going to use to read the book later, such as your computer, tablet, laptop, whichever app you're going to use on your phone. Just save the file. Zachry Hubbard left the copyright off this book so that you could take it to your local bindery and have it bound into a book for your own personal library. You can upload it to lulu.com and they will bind it into a book for you as well. Or you can print it out, but probably having it bound into a book at either of those the first two options will probably be better, because there is 773 pages or so in this book. And keeping it in the electronic file format is really good, because when you're looking for information, it makes finding it much easier. But just get the book, read it, and understand what gematria is. This is what the book is about, gematria. And gematria is the encoding of numbers within our letters. Every word we speak has a numerical value. The more you read about gematria, the more you'll see just how manufactured our reality is when it comes to just about everything except what you do organically on your own. History, all history, every single bit of history that we read about or that we see in the TV, it is orchestrated via gematria. So take the time, get the books, read them. Well, get this book, and he did write another book, and of course I have it as a stand right here for my phone because my granddaughter has my iPad. But anyway, number games from 9/11 to coronavirus. And this, I can't say enough about gematria. Read the books, get this book. This book is now available on Amazon for pre-order, and it will be released on October 13th, that infamous number 113. Man, but this book is needed. This is the young man that wrote the book, Zachry Hubbard, and I pre-ordered my book weeks ago. And I got mine in the mail, but I pre-ordered it from Zachry Hubbard himself, and when he got his first shipment in, he sent out books, and I got mine, and I am just so glad to have the book. But you can get this book also at his blog page if you don't want to order it from Amazon. You can order it from his blog page, and that is gematriaeffectnews.blogspot.com. And the first thing you'll see when you arrive at that page is the information on how to order this book. And it is just it's great. The information is for you to order the book within the United States and abroad, but every human being on this planet needs to know this information. Also, if you become a Patreon of Zachry Hubbard, at the $1 tier per month, you will get both these books via email as a PDF file. Also, read the blogs on gematriaeffectnews.blogspot.com. He has a lot of content there. Also, he has a another blog page where he had been blogging for over 5 years, and it is called freetofindtruth.blogspot.com, and he has over 30,000 posts there, so a lot of information there for you to get the better understanding of what gematria is. Educate yourself on what it is, but the meat and potatoes of gematria can be found in his books, Letters and Numbers, and then his second book, Number Games. And with that said, I am going to continue reading. I have just made it to chapter 19, and I just uploaded chapter 18 a few moments ago. It probably take about an hour or so before it uploads to YouTube, and the same with depends on how long I read for, but I'm going to be starting in chapter 19, and it is called Admitted and Non-Admitted Weather Warfare. So let me write that down really quick for my next reading. This chapter is going to be really awesome too. I mean, all this information is just mind-blowing, but it is eye-opening, and you do know what is taking place. And it's not what we've been thinking it is, and it's not what we've been told it is. So that's what's amazing. From 1952 to now. Alrighty. Okay, so I will be beginning on page 510. Okay, and this chapter isn't too long, so I'm gonna try to get through the entire chapter. It's only about 28 pages, so we'll see if I can get that done, but I'm reading on my iPhone, so it might make it a little difficult. So once again, chapter 19, Admitted and Non-Admitted Weather Warfare, 1952 till now. So I'm going to read the headline before I get into the reading, okay? RAF rainmakers caused 1952 flood, and that is the Royal Air Force, okay? Unearthed, UNEARTHED, in case I'm not pronouncing that right. Unearthed documents suggest experiment triggered torment that killed 35 in Devon disaster. DEVON. I don't know if it's pronounced Devon or Devon, but that's how you spell it. Okay. Special report, Silly Season. On August 15th, 1952, one of the worst flash floods ever to have occurred in Britain swept through the Devon village of Lynmouth. 35 people died as a torrent of 90 tons of water and thousands of tons of rock poured off saturated Exmoor into the village, destroying homes, bridges, shops, and hotels. The disaster was officially termed the hand of God, but new evidence from previously classified government files suggest that a team of international scientists working with the RAF was experimenting with artificial rainmaking in southern Britain in the same week and could possibly be implicated. Yeah, right. Squadron leader Lynn Otley, Lynn Otley, Otley, who was working on what was known as Operation Cumulus, has told the BBC that they jokingly referred to the rain-making exercise as Operation Witch Doctor. Okay. So, the reporting shown to the left is from The Guardian, dated August 30th, 2001. It was about an admission by the Royal Air Force, RAF, that they had been conducting experiments in the area of artificial rainmaking in the weeks leading up to the flooding of Lynmouth, August 15th and 16th of 1952, which was said to have killed either 34 people or 35, depending on what sources you read. What I have zero doubt of is the deadly flood was caused intentionally on the specific date of August 15th, in line with the code. As a reminder, in Kabbalah, where the language of letters, numbers, and their harmony with the calendar originates, it is believed that the biblical flood is still ongoing. Further, recall that Kabbalah, the Kabal, Tree of Life, Etz HaHaim, and Gematria all share Gematria of 52. With that said, let us now examine why August 15th, the 227th day of the calendar year in non-leap years, in the year 52, was the perfect date for a flood. So, the word flood equates to 227 in the Satanic cipher. Earth equates to 227 in the Satanic cipher. Flood equates to 52 in the ordinal cipher. Earth equates to 52 in ordinal. RAF equates to 25 in ordinal, the reflection of 52. Flood equates to 25 in reduction. And RAF responsible for the flood. Royal Air Force equates to 97, reverse reduction, E counted as 22. 97, the 25th prime number. RAF Rainmakers equates to 134 in ordinal. Flooding equates to 134 reverse ordinal. 134, a number of destruction. In light of this disaster being the work of the military, having ordinal gematria of 107, let us look at what the disaster was called, the Hand of God, as well as the unofficial nickname Operation Witch Doctor. So, the Hand of God equates to 107 in ordinal. Operation Witch Doctor equates to 107 in reduction. The Hand of God also yields more gematria connected to flooding. At the same time, if you leave off the word the, Hand of God yields gematria of 47 and 74, familiar numbers. So the phrase would be Hand of God instead of the Hand of God. Just Hand of God. So Hand of God yields gematria of 47 and 74, familiar numbers. Connecting is the reduction gematria of Royal Air Force, summing to 74 as well. So the Hand of God equates to 46, reverse reduction. Flooding equates to 46 in reduction. Flooding equates to 35, reverse reduction. The Hand of God equates to 62 in reduction. Torah equates to 62 in ordinal. Elohim equates to 62 in ordinal. RAF Rainmakers equates to 62 in reduction. In Hebrew, flood yields gematria of 26 and 62, connecting with the words Elohim and Torah. Consider the story of the biblical flood comes from the Torah. So, alrighty. At the same time, let us also examine the unofficial military experiment name, Operation Cumulus, as it yields familiar numbers important to the Masonic NWO cartel. Operation Cumulus equates to 223 in ordinal. Flash flooding equates to 223 reverse ordinal. Operation Cumulus equates to 119 reverse reduction. P counted as 11 E counted as 22. And we know 223 is for the synagogue of Satan. Let us now look more carefully at the name Linmouth in light of the reporting of 34 dead and 35 dead in connection to the gematria of flash flooding. In case you missed it above, flooding has reverse reduction gematria of 35. This information should prove that the target of the military attack was no coincidence. So, the name Linmouth equates to 34, reverse reduction. Linmouth equates to 35, Chaldean. Linmouth equates to 128 in ordinal. Flash flooding equates to 128 in ordinal. Related, on November 3rd, 1953, the Royal Air Force classified documents stating why they were interested in increasing rainfall and snowfall for strategic military purposes. The primary reasoning was to bog down the movement of enemy forces. What is fascinating about the release date of the information is how it can be written as 3/11, similar to 311, and how the number pertains to flash flooding as well. As we decode, consider the number 311 is the 64th prime, and synagogue of Satan has gematria of 64, a title that also corresponds with the number 223, which also connects to flash flooding. So, as he stated, flash flooding equates to 311 in the Jewish gematria cipher. In 1971, investigative journalist Jack Anderson would reveal that the United States military was conducting a flooding operation of its own in Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand that went by the name Operation Popeye. According to his research, the operation was led by the CIA and Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, born on the 147th day of the year. By 1973, it was revealed that the program had begun March 20th, 1967, and ended July 5th, 1972, at least according to the U.S. military. The purpose of the operation, according to military intelligence, was to induce flooding on the Ho Chi Minh Trail to slow down enemy forces in the Vietnam War. So, Ho Chi Minh Trail equates to 147 in ordinal. Operation Popeye equates to 147, reverse reduction. P counted as 11, E counted as 22. Ho Chi Minh Trail equates to 84 in reduction. Vietnam equates to 84 in ordinal. The terminology the U.S. military used was cloud seeding, a form of chemistry in the skies to attract moisture and cause massive rainfall in targeted areas. Let us examine the gematria of cloud seeding, keeping in mind the Hebrew gematria of flood, which is 62, and also the related gematria of RAF rainmakers. So, cloud seeding does equate to 62, reverse reduction, and RAF rainmakers equates to 62 in reduction. And if by chance you're new here listening to this video, you can visit gematrinator.com. That is where you will find the calculator that you could type in any word or phrase and get the numerical values. So be sure you check out that website, save it, use it often, and familiarize yourself with it, because there are a lot of different functions on the calculator. But it is called gematrinator.com. Okay, moving on. As a result of admissions by the Royal Air Force and U.S. military on May 18th, 1977, the day leaving 227 days left in the year, the nations of the world would gather in Geneva and signed the Environmental Modification Convention, agreeing to not use techniques of weather warfare such as cloud seeding anymore. For the convention in 77, there were 77 participating nations, reminding you of who was running the show. As we'll uncover, this agreement was nothing more than theatrics to dupe the people of the world, and there is no doubt that weather warfare has waged on ever since. For one of many examples proving that the weather warfare operations never really ended. Despite the 77 agreement came 52 years to the date of the flooding of Lynmouth on August 15 and 16, 1952, when a town 62 miles southwest, Boscastle, would be extensively damaged with flash flooding August 16, 2004. I highly recommend you go to gematrinator.com and compare the gematria of Freemason with Boscastle, and that is Boscastle. At the same time, please review the headlines where this storm was described as a great coincidence, that detrimental word to the truth of the matter. More recently, on September 3rd, 2017, the day leaving 119 days left in the year, Cornwall was flash flooded when rain wasn't even supposed to be in the forecast. The towns most heavily hit were Polperro, Polperro, Loo, Looe, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce that, and Fowey, Fowey, approximately 100 miles from Lynmouth. Okay, so the word Cornwall equates to 35 in reduction. Cornwall equates to 46 reverse reduction. Flooding equates to 46 in reduction. Flooding equates to 35 reverse reduction. Polperro equates to 52 in reduction. Flood equates to 52 in ordinal. Loo, Looe, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, is it equates to 20 in reduction. Flood equates to 20 reverse reduction. Fowey equates to 29 in reduction. Flooded equates to 29 reverse reduction. So, as the UK was experiencing flood deja vu, the city of Houston, Texas, was recovering from possibly the worst flood the United States of America has seen in the age of urban development, where reportedly 52 inches of rain caused massive flash flooding that began Sunday, August 27, 2017, the 239th day of the year. Please recall that the number 239 is the 52nd prime, and the word Torah has Jewish gematria of 239, similar to its alternate name. The Book of the Law, having reverse ordinal gematria of 239, which again is the location of the biblical story of the flood. Adding insult to injury, August 27, 2017 was a date with numerology of 52, corresponding with the gematria of Houston, Texas. So the date 8/27/17, you would add 8 plus 27 plus 17, that equates to 52. Houston, Texas equates to 52 in the septenary cipher. And I'm going to read the headline that they had about post-Harvey, the Hurricane Harvey. So it said, Houston's post-Harvey outlook. If $26 oil doesn't do us in, 52 inches of rain won't either. Sucker. Okay. In addition to having gematria of 52, Houston, Texas also has reverse reduction gematria of 62, corresponding with the Hebrew ordinal gematria of flood, summing to 62. And at the time of the incident, the city had its 62nd mayor, Sylvester Turner, who was exactly 62 years old. As we decode, let us not forget the Torah has 187 chapters. So, Houston, Texas equates to 62 reverse reduction. Houston, Texas equates to 187 ALW Kabbalah cipher. Of course, none of this was coincidental. Instead, it was all part of the plan that unfolded on this very specific date, in this very specific year, for a very specific reason, not unrelated to the 45th president being in office. Recall the relationship with Holy Bible and the number 45, as well as the biblical warnings of trumpets in light of the Trump-Pence White House. As we decode, we will reveal to you the significance of the title Mayor Sylvester Turner, in light of the biblical narrative of 40 days and 40 nights of rain that caused the flood. As we progress, the picture will become crystal clear. So, the phrase 40 days and 40 nights equates to 119 reverse reduction. Mayor Sylvester Turner equates to 119 reverse reduction. Mayor Sylvester Turner equates to 227 reverse ordinal. Flood equates to 227 in the satanic cipher. In light of the significance of 40 days and 40 nights, it was no coincidence the 40-year-old boxer Floyd Mayweather was in his final career boxing match, August 26th, as the rains were coming down that would flood Houston, and the announcing crew for the fight were making references to raining, flooding, and drowning throughout the match, with one commentator predicting that Mayweather would drown McGregor in the latter rounds. Consider the name Floyd has reduction gematria of 26 and ordinal gematria of 62, and the name Mayweather has reverse ordinal reduction gematria of 52, as well as ordinal gematria of 119, all numbers corresponding with flood. Houston equates to 40 in reduction. S equates to 10. Old Testament equates to 40 in the reduction cipher. Okay? At the same fight, one of the big news stories was that out of all the celebrities in attendance, it was Steve Harvey who had the best seats in the house. Adding to the sports-related riddles in Major League Baseball, the Houston Astros would host their first game in their home city after the flood on September 2nd, 2017, playing the New York Mets, who had starting pitcher Matt Harvey on the mound. Consider, it was Hurricane and Tropical Storm Harvey that had just devastated the city, and it was New York that was hit by a man-made storm, Hurricane Sandy, in 2012, which we'll get to ahead. The final score would be 12-8 in favor of Houston, where flash flooding has gematria of 128. It was also the 134th game of the season for both teams, where flooding has gematria of 134. This September 2nd game was exactly 52 days before the start of the upcoming World Series, October 24th, 2017. And on that same day, Fox News carried a story of a Houston woman who had her home survive the flooding. Her quote was, "I feel like I've won the World Series." I told my followers that day it was a lock for the Astros. It was a lock. The Astros would be winning the scripted World Series, and they would go on to win it precisely a span of 67 days from the August 27th flooding, November 1st, 2017. The reason 67 matters is because the word water has ordinal gematria of 67. In the World Series, the Astros would play in and win. Game 2 was on October 25th, the day leaving 67 days left in the year. And as I told my followers then, the Astros were a lock to win Game 2 because not only was it the day leaving 67 days left in the year, it was a date with numerology of 52, making it perfect for a flood tribute. In the end of Game 2, the final score would be 6-7 in favor of the Astros, who were about to put out the Los Angeles LA Tuna fire, which was purposefully set September 1st, and something else we'll get to. As I told my followers from the beginning of September on, the rigged World Series was to be Astros over Dodgers in the water puts out fires World Series. Sadly, when you're awake, you come to realize that all rigged sports are in tribute to the contrived news, because this is how the synagogue of Satan rolls, as the rule, never the exception. Speaking of the synagogue, let us not forget how the gematria of 223 connects to flash flooding. In the case of Houston, the shoe also fits. Houston equates to 223 in the Frank Baconis cipher. For another sports riddle that factored in, let us not forget that Super Bowl 51 was hosted in Houston on February 5th, a date that can be written as 25 or 52, similar to 25 and 52, both being numbers that correspond with the gematria of flood. You'll recall that was the game where Tom Brady, who had a comeback win from being down 25 points, defeating the Falcons, summing to 25, and earning his 25th playoff win along with the AFC's 25th Super Bowl, while also becoming 5-2 in Super Bowls, a new NFL record. Of course, it was to close out the 97th season of the NFL, where 97 is the 25th prime, and it was the first season the touchback was moved from the 20-yard line to the 25-yard line. Anyhow, from that game to the date of the flood was 29 weeks, and in reduction gematria, football, flooded, and Harvey equates to 29. Consider it also happened just before the kickoff of the new NFL season, ending in Super Bowl 52, to be hosted by Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes, due to the ancient flooding caused by the melting of massive glaciers. As we decode, keep in mind, we've seen similar narratives in the NFL's history, with the New Orleans Saints winning Super Bowl 44 not long after the flooding of New Orleans by Hurricane Katrina. So, Minnesota equates to 52, reverse reduction. Glaciers equates to 52, reverse reduction. Hurricane equates to 52 in reduction. Katrina equates to 52, reverse reduction. For the mockery, the 2017-18 NFL season would begin by the city that got the worst of Hurricane Harvey playing the city that got the worst of Hurricane Irma. I'm going to reread that. Okay. For more mockery, the 2017 and 2018 NFL season would begin by the city that got the worst of Hurricane Harvey playing the city that got the worst of Hurricane Irma. The storms that came back to back, which was Houston versus Jacksonville, respectively. The winner of that game would finish with 29 points, corresponding with flooded. So, Hurricane Harvey equates to 85, reverse reduction. The flood equates to 85 in ordinal. National Football League equates to 85 in reduction. If you can put 2 and 2 together, you should understand by this point that these same false Jews that control media and banking also control government as well as the world of entertainment, and they merge everything they control together through planned narratives that are put in the faces of the Goyim, who they anticipate will never see it. In case you don't know what needs to be done about this, I will quote the Talmud. Sanhedrin 59a. To communicate anything to a Goy about our religious relations would be equal to the killing of all Jews. For if the Goyim knew what we teach about them, they would kill us openly. I will quote the Talmud. Absolutely, Zach. Absolutely. Now, man. Absolutely. Moving on. Outside of sports, there were numerous other important riddles happening with Hurricane Harvey and the planned flooding of Houston and southeast Texas. Moving on, outside of sports, there were numerous other important riddles happening with Hurricane Harvey and the planned flooding of Houston and southeast Texas. Take, for example, the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan at age 35, a span of 38 days before his upcoming birthday, dying on August 27, 1990. 27 years to the day of the flood, who was killed in a helicopter crash in Wisconsin. He was best remembered for the album Texas Flood. In light of him dying 27 years to the day, don't forget, Ritual has reduction gematria of 27. The name Texas Flood also has gematria of 40. Texas Flood equates to 40 in reduction. The Flood equates to 40 in reduction. That album released June 13, 1983, a date that is interesting for 2 reasons. First, it had numerology of 31, corresponding with the reduction gematria of Houston. Keep in mind, when the city flooded, it was 31 days before the Houston mayor's upcoming birthday. Second, it released in the year 83, which connects to the words flood and Harvey. So, the word flood equates to 83 in reverse ordinal. Harvey equates to 83 in reverse ordinal. Texans equates to 83 in ordinal. Football equates to 83 in ordinal. In light of the encoding of 83, let us examine Genesis 8:3, where the story of the biblical flood concludes. This will lead us into another Houston specific riddle with the tragedy. So, Genesis 8:3, King James Version. And the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. Notice the flood ends after 150 days. This connects to the name of the richest televangelist in the world who resides in Houston, who is Joel Osteen. Who is not a servant of Christ? Absolutely not. Who is not a servant of Christ, but a minion of the synagogue of Satan, manipulating the truth of the Bible. I'll add, only in the land of the blind, which is the United States of America, could such a man ever inherit such a flock of sheep, which we'll get to in just a minute. First, let us decode his name, knowing he opened his church to flood victims on Sunday, September 3rd, 2017, a date that can be written 39 or 93, numbers that go without saying. Absolutely. So, Joel Osteen equates to 150, reverse ordinal. Joel Osteen equates to 39 in reduction. Joel Osteen equates to 39 in septenary, and Joel Osteen equates to 45 in the Chaldean cipher. Let us also decode the relevant gematria of televangelists. Okay, so televangelist equates to 52, just like flood in reduction. Lakewood Church equates to 52, septenary cipher. Televangelist equates to 58, septenary. Biblical equates to 58, reverse reduction. Televangelist equates to 61, reduction, S counted as 10. Jesus equates to 61, reverse ordinal. Televangelist equates to 74, reverse reduction. Jesus equates to 74, ordinal. Televangelist equates to 151 in ordinal, and Jesus Christ equates to 151 in ordinal, and Jesus Christ is not his name. His name is Yeshua. Yahusha, and it ain't Jesus Christ. Okay, the reason the followers of Joel, a name having gematria of 42, are sheep is because he preaches that money is happiness. At the heart of every sermon he gives is money. He routinely reminds his followers that if he weren't wealthy, he wouldn't be as happy as he is. This is completely contrary to what the Messiah taught. He said Jesus Christ here, but I just want to say Messiah. This is completely contrary to what the Messiah taught. The man who becomes violent in one place in the Bible, and that is when he is throwing out the money changers from the church. Let us examine Matthew 21:12. The book of Matthew, chapter 21, verse 12 in the King James Version. And Jesus went into the temple of God and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple, and he overthrew the tables of the money changers and the seats of them that sold doves. It is also Jesus who has this to say in Mark 10:25, King James Version. Mark chapter 10:25. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man, Joel Osteen, to enter into the kingdom of God. You bastards. So, in terms of Joel Osteen leading the sheep, he has the right birthday for it, which is March 5th, 1963, a date that can be written 5-3, similar to 53. As a reminder, I give you the story of Dolly the sheep, announced to the world on February 22nd, 1997, the 53rd day of the year, and not by coincidence. If we didn't live in a society of sheep, people would have known what I knew then as a 13-year-old. If you can clone a sheep, they can clone any living organism, especially if it's a mammal. So what he said, if they can clone a sheep, they can clone any living organism, especially if it is a mammal. Sadly, the Talmud thumpers know how blind the masses are, and they know they can put anything before the eyes of the Goyim, and they will only do with it what the television tells them to do. From following Joel Osteen to believing that Dolly was an isolated incident. Absolutely, Zach. Absolutely. The word sheep equates to 53 in ordinal. The word man equates to 53 reversed ordinal. Religion equates to 53 in reduction. Dolly the sheep equates to 53 reversed reduction. Okay, there's a headline. How Joel Osteen's church is serving Houston's Jewish community may surprise you. Okay, another point about Joel's birthday. It is also the 64th day of the year, corresponding with Synagogue of Satan, Israel, and Zion. In the wake of Houston's flooding, Osteen made big headlines for opening his church to the Jewish community who lost their synagogue in the flooding. Personally, I would find this to be an act of kindness if I didn't know what was truly going on. Keep in mind, Osteen neglected Houston's poor who was out from the flood and were hoping to take refuge in the mega church known as Lakewood, which we will now examine the gematria of. As we decode, consider the church was made of wood in the middle of a temporary lake. So Lakewood equates to 32 in reduction. Houston equates to 32 reverse reduction. The flood equates to 33 reverse reduction. Lakewood equates to 40 reverse reduction. Houston equates to 40 in reduction. S counted as 10. The flood equates to 40 in reduction. So, I should also mention Lakewood Church was right for becoming the synagogue and to preach the opposite of Jesus, which is sin. So, Lakewood Church also equates to 147 in ordinal. The synagogue equates to 147 in ordinal. Sin equates to 147 in satanic. And here we go. I'm going to read this. It's a headline here. It says, Trump's approval again reaches 40% after positive reaction to hurricane response. Okay, for further evidence of how well planned the storm was and how the chessboard was set, we must go back to the 1976 benefit concert for the boxer Reuben Hurricane Carter, held in Houston, Texas, who a 146-minute movie was made about in 1999. It is interesting that the benefit concert was held in Houston because Reuben Carter's story was from New Jersey. It is also interesting that it was Bob Dylan who hosted the concert, a man from Minnesota, because Dylan was 76 years old when the storm impacted Houston, and Reuben Carter died at the age of 76, April 20th, 2014. From 1976 to 2017 was also 41 years, where the number 41 corresponds with the gematria of Houston. Wow. So, hurricane equates to 97 in ordinal. Carter equates to 97 reverse ordinal. Hurricane equates to 146 reverse ordinal, 146-minute film, 146-minute film. Carter was born on May 6 or 5-6. Hurricane also equates to 56 reverse reduction. In October, national headlines would arise that the suburb of Houston, Dickinson, Texas, was only provided flood relief to people who pledged not to boycott Israel. The only reason this story received national attention was to flaunt the truth of the situation in everyone's face, reminding who the boss is. Notice how the gematria of Dickinson also corresponds with Israel and Zion. So Dickinson equates to 44 in reduction. Israel equates to 44 in reduction. Zion equates to 44 in reduction. And here's another headline. It says, Houston suburb to Hubbard relief applicants. Don't boycott Israel. Wow. In the days that followed, it would be announced that the town of Dickinson requested this pledge from its citizens at the behest of Texas Governor Gregory Wayne Abbott. As we decode his name, keep in mind he is the 48th governor of the state, and 223 is the 48th prime number. Also, Israel became an official nation in 1948, emphasis on 48. Gregory Wayne Abbott equates to 223 in ordinal. Gregory Wayne Abbott equates to 223 in the KFW Kabbalah cipher. Gregory Wayne Abbott equates to 2230 Jewish gematria, and of course you don't pay attention to the zero, so that's another 223. Boy. I'll mention that the day before Harvey made landfall, which was August 25th, 2017, I put out a video warning the people of Texas why flooding would be coming August 27th, 2017, and it was going to be a planned ritual just like years past. Also, more than a week before Hurricane Irma, Irma, okay, also, excuse me, more than a week before Hurricane Irma made landfall in Florida, I said why it would be Florida that the storm hit and why it would be September 10th, 2017. That would be the day of the flooding in Florida. Something's caught in my throat. Which is exactly what happened. Of course, the only reason I was able to do this is because for years I have been studying the patterns of weather warfare. In the case of Irma, the reason September 10th, 2017 was to be, the day was as follows. So the date 9/10/2017, 9 plus 10 plus 20 plus 17 equates to 56. Hurricane equates to 56, reverse reduction. Okay. I also stated that the islands of the Caribbean had better look out on September 6, 2017, as those dates were right for hurricane destruction, and not by surprise, those dates became disastrous. So 9/6/2017, you add 9 plus 6 plus 20 plus 17, that equates to 52. Hurricane equates to 52 in reduction, and flood equates to 52 in ordinal. An interesting feature of Hurricane Irma was that it traveled up the west side of the state of Florida and its 67 counties, which was treated as a surprise by meteorologists. The reason it traveled up the west side was because it was all part of the plan. Irma equates to 67 in reverse ordinal. West equates to 67 in ordinal. Water equates to 67 in ordinal. Irma leaves 6.2 million Florida homes in the dark, over 60% of the entire state. As per usual, the reporting about this storm was all about the numbers, was all by the numbers. Take this example from CNBC playing on the relevance of the number 62 in regards to flood and the Torah, where it was stated 6.2 million Floridians were out of power. Another comical headline came on October 6, 2017, in the lone 33 month. October equates to 33, the only month to do so. On a date with numerology of 33 to boot, where NBC reported that Hurricanes Harvey and Irma wiped out 33,000 jobs in the United States of America. Of course, the purpose of these manufactured storms is to allocate resources for certain groups of people, such as the poor, to other groups of people, such as the rich. It is the same concept as making war, with the plan to destroy and rebuild, and once rebuilt, move the land and property from a certain group of people to a different group of people. As mad as the tyrants are in doing this, they have a plan and purpose. To better understand the plan, let us again read from the Talmud. The Zohar Vayshalah, I'm going to pronounce that, I'm going to spell that Vayshlalah. So Shalah. Zohar Vayshalah 177b. That all property of other nations belong to the Jewish nation, which consequently is entitled to seize upon it without any scruples. An Orthodox Jew is not bound to observe principles of morality towards people of other tribes. He may act contrary to morality if profitable to himself or to Jews in general. And somebody please tell me, oh, this is just coincidence. This is crap. That this hasn't been. It's been happening forever, all my life, all the slaves' lives, all the time, for over 1,000 years, ever since the Crusades. We know that for sure. This is crazy. Oh my word. Moving right along. In light of the planned destruction of Texas and Florida from the man-made storms, it was reported that 134 people died from Hurricane Irma and 77 died from Hurricane Harvey. Of course, both of these stats were made up, and the death tolls were likely much higher. Absolutely. But consider the numbers reported and how they correspond with what we have learned about the false Jews, especially regarding Tisha B'Av. Also, as we also recently uncovered, flooding has reverse ordinal gematria of 134. It just goes to show that everything reported in our media is by this code, as sick as it all is. I should also mention that Hurricane Irma has had reverse ordinal gematria up to 13, the number of death. After the devastation of Harvey and Irma would come, after the devastation of Harvey and Irma would come another powerful storm, Hurricane Maria, which the media was certain would impact Puerto Rico. I should mention that at the same time Maria was threatening Puerto Rico and the Caribbean, Hurricane Jose was threatening the United States. Consider that Joseph and Mary from the Bible was referred to as Jose and Maria in Latin cultures. It has since been reported that Maria killed 66 people, like the number of books in the Bible. In terms of biblical numbers, that isn't all. Maria also has gematria of 39, matching the number of books in the Old Testament, and it made landfall on Puerto Rico September 20th, 2017, a date with a life lesson number of 39. Let us decode the name of the storm and the date of its impact. As we do, notice how Hurricane Maria also connects to the Torah. So, the name Maria equates to 39. Hurricane Maria equates to 39 in the Chaldean cipher. Hurricane Maria equates to 239 reverse ordinal, and Torah equates to 239 in the Jewish cipher. None of this was any coincidence, nor was this headline from CNN September 16, 2017, which read, Caribbean in the crosshairs, or Caribbean. The Caribbean in the crosshairs again, hinting at the truth of the matter, where these storms are targeted weapons intended to do harm. Adding insult to injury, the reverse reduction gematria of headline is 187, matching the number of chapters in the Torah, and also corresponding with the gematria of Saffir-Simpson, which is the scale of measure which is the scale to measure the strength of hurricanes, rating categories 1 through 5. So Saffir, Saffir, Saffir-Simpson equates to 187 in reverse ordinal. Maria would become the first hurricane to hit Puerto Rico in 85 years, where the word storm has ordinal gematria of 85, corresponding with flood. An interesting note about the scale is the qualifying wind speed for a hurricane, creating a Category 1, is 33 meters. A Category 1 is 33 meters or 33 seconds, 74 miles an hour. Oh, I see what it has written. 33 meters per second or 74 miles an hour or 119 kilometers an hour. With regards to the number 74, in ordinal gematria, the word energy sums to 74. Same with weapon and killing. And in Hebrew gematria, the word hurricane equates to 74. A very biblical number, as you've learned. This serves as a reminder that the world of science, as we know it, is also presented to us by the code. There is truly nothing in this world that is part of the mainstream that has not been contrived as such. For the person aware of the knowledge, this fact of life is undeniable. Hurricane equates to 74 in reverse reduction. E equates to 22. Hurricane in Hebrew ordinal equates to 74 as well. Hebrew ordinal. Okay, Harvey and Irma, married 75 years, marvel at the storms bearing their names. Yeah, right. Before moving on to some other noteworthy storms of history's past, I must let you know about the New York Times, about what the New York Times published on September 7th, 2017. In the wake of Harvey, and just 3 days before Irma, was about to make landfall. Keep in mind that date can be expressed as 9-7, similar to 97, matching the ordinal gematria of 97. Okay. It was also a date with numerology of 33, corresponding with the reverse reduction gematria of marry and wedding. As you can see, it was about a married couple of 75 years. The number symbolizing order out of chaos, which again is the agenda of the tyrants. In this case, it also fit perfectly with the reduction gematria of Hurricane Irma, summing to 75. Think about this. To think this is the same publication that has mocked the people who believe in conspiracy theories. Yeah. Conspiracy facts. On the subject of New York, let us now discuss Hurricane Sandy, known as Superstorm Sandy, having a title having gematria of 227, corresponding with flood, and which brought much flooding to New York and New Jersey, October 29th, 2012. The most perfect date for a hurricane named Sandy to wreck New York City. For starters, October 29th is the day leaving 63 days left in the year, and Sandy has ordinal gematria of 63 as follows. Sandy equates to 63 in ordinal. October 29th leaves 63 days in the year. Second, October 29th can be expressed as 1029. Having numerology of 39, where everything in New York is coded with 39. So 10 plus 29, 39. Okay. As you have learned, and we will learn even more about in the chapter on rig sports. In case I haven't said so already, 1939 was also the year New York hosted the World's Fair, which is always a ritual in numbers itself. Third, the date October 29, 2012 had a life lesson number of 44, which corresponds with the Frank Baconis gematria of hurricane, summing to 193, the 44th prime number. So hurricane equates to 193, and the date 10/29/2012, when you add it together, 10 plus 29 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 2, that equates to 44. It was no coincidence that exactly 46 days after Hurricane Sandy made landfall in New York City, the Sandy Hook school shooting hoax happened at an abandoned elementary school that had been abandoned since 2008 due to flooding. As you know, the number 46 symbolizes chaos. It also symbolizes elementary and Connecticut, the state where the hoax happened. Elementary equates to 46 in reduction. Flooding equates to 46 in reduction. Connecticut equates to 46 in reduction. Chaos equates to 46 in ordinal. Connecticut equates to 46 in called in. I should mention that in 2017, a rare, powerful storm would impact Ireland in the month of October on a date with numerology of 63, which was October 16, 2017. It was compared by the media to Sandy. Sadly, the tyrants left out any lessons on the relevance of gematria and weather warfare by the numbers in their reporting, but they did leave clues, calling the storm Ophelia, having reverse reduction gematria of 33, similar to the reduction gematria of 33 for October, and the qualifying wind speed for a hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale, 33 meters or seconds, 33 meters per second, and where Simpson has reduction gematria of 33. Even more, Ophelia is a name from the work of William Shakespeare, having gematria of 187, just the same as Saffir-Simpson. These suckers. So the date 10/16/2017, you would add 10 plus 16 plus 20 plus 17 equates to 63. Ireland equates to 63 in ordinal. Now let us go back to Katrina, which flooded New Orleans, Louisiana, August 29, 2005, a date with numerology of 62, and a location ripe for flooding, and named accordingly. Consider, it was a date with numerology of 42, and it was mostly poor black people who were disenfranchised by the storm, which was the same case in Houston. Further, it was also a date with a life lesson number of 44, and the New Orleans Saints would go on to win Super Bowl 44, with the Saints defeating Peyton Manning, whose father was a longtime player of the Saints, a sure sign of the scripted game that was. So the date 8/29/2005, you would add 8 plus 29 plus 20 plus 05 equates to 62. Flood equates to 62, Hebrew ordinal. Torah equates to 62 in ordinal. 8/29/05. 8 plus 29 plus 05 equates to 42. Think about what you learned about 42 and black history. Absolutely. 8/29/2005. 8 plus 29 plus 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 5 equates to 44. Hurricane equates to 193. Frank Bacona's cipher. 193 is the 44th prime number. For the record, Super Bowl 44 was played on the 38th day of the year, February 7, 2010. Katrina equates to 38 in reduction. K counted as 11. Louisiana equates to 38 in reduction. Let us now examine the gematria of New Orleans, Louisiana, in light of the gematria of flood as well as hurricane. As we decode, keep in mind, football equates to 83. Okay, so New Orleans Saints equates to 83 in reduction. Hurricane equates to 83 in reduction. H counted as 10. E counted as 22. Flood equates to 83 reverse ordinal. New Orleans, Louisiana equates to 227 in ordinal. The mayor, Ray Nagin, had turned 49 years old 79 days before the storm, June 11th. Recall that the number 227 is the 49th prime. His name was also fitting. Ray Nagin equates to 44 in reduction. Ray equates to 44 in ordinal. In light of the heavy coding of 44, please research HARP. HAARP, which is a military program that stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, having reduction gematria of 223 and reverse reduction gematria of 227, connecting to flash flooding and flood respectively. The History Channel put out a special on this, which you can stream online, showing how the research project has the ability to accelerate powerful storms. Accelerate powerful storms from hurricanes to tornadoes, as well as cause earthquakes. This is some BS. And these are all capital letters. HAARP equates to 44 in ordinal. Military equates to 44 in reduction. As for the name of the storm, Katrina, recall it had reverse reduction gematria of 52, corresponding with hurricane and flood. In ordinal gematria, Katrina also equates to 74, syncing with hurricane and killing. It was reported after the storm that 1,833 people lost their lives, and the sad part is the number was likely much higher, and worse yet, it was intentional. If you were alive then. I'm sure you remember the failures of FEMA, which was said that they were not prepared, despite the fact that the news media hyped the storm and the possibility of it hitting New Orleans from August 23rd on. Let us examine how the gematria of FEMA, as well as its head at the time, Mike Brown, factored in. As we decode, remember the words of George Bush, who complimented Mike Brown despite the failures by saying, "You're doing a heck of a job, Brownie, you motherfucker." Mike Brown equates to 52 reverse reduction. Katrina equates to 52 reverse reduction. Michael Dwayne Brown, Dewayne, Michael Dwayne Brown equates to 97 reverse reduction. FEMA equates to 83. So let me see exactly what. Oh, I have my phone here, and so something's a little off kilter here. Let me see. 52. Maybe give me 1 second so I can look up this word. Where are you? Oh, here it is at the bottom. Here we go. I'm gonna put in Michael Dwayne Brown. Yes, he meant to put 97. Oh no, he put that for there. So let me see what the discrepancy was here. FEMA. Oh, he could have been right. You know, every time I'd be thinking he might have made a mistake. No, he's absolutely correct. And FEMA does equal 83 murder in reverse ordinal. So Zachry K. Hubbard was absolutely right in what he wrote. Not a mistake there. Okay. For another memorable hurricane, let's revisit Andrew, which made landfall in Elliott Key, August 24th, 1992. The day leaving 129 days left in the year, a number corresponding with America. Andrew and the location it touched down. As you'll recall, if you were around, this was a major story for the nation. One of the most destructive storms in its history at the time. Elliott Key equates to 129 reverse ordinal. Andrew equates to 129 in Frank Baconis. It was reported that Andrew killed 65 people. Let us examine where this number was pulled out of, and let us acknowledge the gematria of 97 for Andrew, where Andrew was said to be a category 5, the most powerful classification. Andrew equates to 65 in ordinal. Florida equates to 65 in the ordinal cipher as well. Andrew equates to 97 reverse ordinal. Hurricane equates to 97 in ordinal. Category 5 hurricane equates to 97 reverse reduction. I should mention, don't ever donate $1 to the Red Cross, who in all of these tragedies fleeces the public and gives none of the money to the suffering people who are the victims of these purposeful tragedies. Keep in mind, the Red Cross is the symbol of the Knights Templar, the Masonic order that first delivered the Kabbalah code to the Catholic Church, which began the tradition of the tyranny by the numbers, which has evolved considerably since the time of the Crusades, well before weather warfare and instruments of destruction such as harp. Okay? Absolutely. Red Cross equates to 52 reverse reduction. Day of Giving equates to 52 reverse reduction. Day of Giving equates to 65 in reduction. Knights Templar 65 in reduction. Day of Giving equals 83 in reduction. V counted as 22. Harvey equates to 83 reverse ordinal. And Day of Giving equates to 119 in ordinal. Telling you. Let us now transition to the subject of fires purposefully set by the code. We'll begin with a very recent one, the October 8th, 2017 California wildfires that were blamed on Diablo winds, something no one had ever heard before 2017, and for good reason, because they were a made up excuse for the Masonic arsonists who are truly responsible. As we decode, consider that Diablo is a Spanish word for devil, and here we are talking about the work of the synagogue of Satan. Also important, you must be aware that Freemasonry controls firemen the same way they control police, and firemen are used for setting fires just as much as they are for putting them out, sadly. So, the word Diablo equates to 25 in reduction. Diablo also equates to 38 reverse reduction. Fire equates to 25 reverse reduction. Fire equates to 38 in ordinal. Firemen equate to 38 reverse reduction. Diablo equates to 43 in ordinal. Diablo equates to 119 reverse ordinal. Firemen equates to 43 in reduction. And firemen equates to 119 reverse ordinal. Don't forget the word Masonic has reverse reduction gematria of 43, or what I taught you about fire station number 43 and the Dallas Cowboys in the made-for-TV propaganda to sell Ford trucks during the rigged NFL football games of Thanksgiving Day, November 24th, 2016. In this more recent incident, the October 8th, 2017 fires, they were also connected to the world of sports beginning just 6 days before the Major League Baseball National League Championship Series, where the Los Angeles Dodgers hosted the Chicago Cubs in Los Angeles, where the final score of game 1 was 2-5, not unlike 25 for fire. Consider October 8th, 1871 was the date of the Great Chicago Fire, meaning the California fires broke out on the 146th year anniversary of the tragedy that began at the address 137 DeKoven, Dekoven, DeKoven Street, and supposedly burned 3.3 square miles of Chicago real estate, leaving 100,000 people homeless in the aftermath. Consider further, Major League has ordinal gematria of 108, and the Chicago Cubs had just broken the 108-year-old drought of the World Series champion a season prior. Wow. I mean, they had just broken the 108-year-old drought of no World Series championships a season prior. Wow. Adding to the riddles, a span of 38 days before the October 8th fire. I'm terribly sorry, but I'm reading on my phone and it's a little difficult to see sometimes. Adding to the riddles, a span of 38 days before the October 8th fire was the start date of the LA Tuna Fire, September 1st, 2017, just outside of Los Angeles. The name La Tuna Fire has reversed ordinal gematria of 163, which is the 38th prime, corresponding with the ordinal gematria of fire. September 1st is also the day that leaves 121 days left in the year, and the abbreviation for Los Angeles is LA, where L is the 12th letter and A is the first letter, something like 121. You could also say that October 8th fire began 37 days after the start of the Latuna fire, and Los Angeles has reduction gematria of 37. Even more, consider the date. September 1st can be written as 9-1, something like 91, which is the 13th triangular number. Fittingly, the city LA has multiple connections to 13, a number that would be coded all over the upcoming 113th World Series, which they would lose in to the Astros, who were flooded, and because water puts out fires, and it was a script. Wow. So LA, 12 plus 1, L is 12, A is 1, so 12 plus 1, 13. In ordinal, LA equates to 41 reverse ordinal. Kobe Bryant. Okay. 41, the 13th prime number. His daughter died at 13. And Latuna equates to 121 Francis Bacon. Latuna fires would end on September 9th or 9-9. 13 written as a word equates to 99 in ordinal. 9-9-2017, you add 9 plus 9 plus 20 plus 17, that equates to 55. The word burn equates to 55 in ordinal. Satan equates to 55 in ordinal. Man, even more. The Latuna fires were declared a state of emergency on September 3rd, 2017. The same day, Oregon and Washington, the northern neighbors of California, would declare states of emergency for fires in their respective states. Here's why the September 3rd declaration, a date written 3-9 or 9-3, was interesting in light of the Latuna fire. So, Latuna equates to 39 reverse reduction. Latuna equates to 93 in reverse ordinal. Man, we just had Oregon was on fire again. We had smoke in the sky here for about a week, a little over a week. It was terrible. You know, we finally got sunshine and stuff yesterday and whatnot, and haven't been outside today. But yeah, these fires, I tell you. And what is today's date? Because I never say what today's date is. I'm going to. Today is Monday, the 21st of September. All right, so here we go. Even more, the Latuna fires were declared a state of emergency on September 3rd, 2017. The same day, Oregon and Washington, the northern neighbors of California, would declare states of emergency for the fires in their respective states. Here's why the September 3rd declaration, a date written 3-9 or 9-3, was interesting in light of the name Latuna. So, and I know I reread this, but Latuna equates to 39 reverse reduction, and Latuna equates to 93 reverse ordinal. Consider the Latuna fire was the biggest in the history of Los Angeles, and when you think of fire, you think of the sun, which is said to be 93 million miles away. As we know, the numbers 93 and 74 are a biblical pairing, and in the case of the Latuna fire, it began in the Verdugo Mountains, Verdugo, the Verdugo Mountains, having reduction gematria of 74. Consider further, the number 74 symbolizes the words Masonic and Lucifer in ordinal gematria, and Lucifer is the light bringer, and Masonry is about the pursuit of light. Oh man, even more, according to the media, the fire was reported from the address of 10800 block of West Latuna Canyon Road in Sun Valley. Notice the 108 to begin the address, connecting to Major League and geometry, as well as the diameter of the sun, which is said to be 108 Earths across. and also said to be the diameter of 108 suns from the Earth in distance. For one last riddle, baseball and sun, SUN, both share gematria of 54, where a nine-inning baseball game has 54 outs. Verdugo Mountains equates to 74 in reduction. The day after the declared states of emergency in the three most western states of the United States of America on Monday, September 4th, 2017, when the moon came out, it was as red as blood in the night sky above Seattle, Washington. I recorded the moon on this evening, uploading a video to YouTube and reading from Revelation 6:12. In the King James Version, Revelation 6:12, it reads, "And I beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood." I asked my followers that night to consider that the synagogue of Satan, as we know, is operating from the book of Revelation. And in recent history, we had a very special total eclipse in the United States, which began in Oregon, the 33rd state, August 21st, 2017, also on a Monday, the day of the week named after the moon. Consider lunar and eclipse share gematria of 33, and total eclipse equates to 137, the 33rd prime number. Total eclipse also equates to 187, like unconquered sun, SUN. Further, I asked them to consider that where the total eclipse began, the moon was now as red as blood, which was due to the fires and the chemical spraying of skies, which I had documented earlier in the day, also with an uploaded video to YouTube. I stated that in my entire life I had never seen so much chemical spray from planes above, and I also asked what might be the reason, which was a question answered when the moon appeared that night, redder than I had ever seen in my life, or anyone else I knew for that matter. As for this coming on September 4th, a date that can be written as 49 or 94, notice how it connects to Revelation as well as Washington. Also notice how it connects to planet, as in the moon, which was considered a planet by the ancients. For the record, the moon appeared red for 2 nights, and 2 nights only, September 4th and September 5th. So, Revelation, it's 45. September 4th, September 5th, 45. Holy Bible, 45. Revelation equates to 49 in reduction. Washington equates to 49 in reduction. Revelation equates to 59 reverse reduction. Washington equates to 59 reverse reduction. H counted as 10. Planet equates to 94. Moon considered a planet to the ancients. Wow. What I pointed out that night was that the verse from Revelation 6:12 also speaks of an earthquake. And many films have been produced, even from outlets such as PBS, stating that the Pacific Northwest of the United States will experience the worst earthquake of the urban era in a matter of relatively short geographical time, because it is located along the Juan de Fuca plate, which is actively moving and said to be ready for a major slippage, which will generate a powerful earthquake in response, possibly above a magnitude 10, which has never been seen in a populated area. In case you're not aware, the city of Seattle is ranked as one of the least safest cities for inhabitants in the entire world due to the earthquake threat. And Mount Rainier, just to the southeast, which is an active volcano, and which the cities of Tacoma and Seattle are built on the remains from its last massive eruption. I also pointed out that night that it was probably only a matter of days until we would hear about a massive earthquake in the world, and sure enough, it came September 7th, hitting another part of North America in Mexico on the 93rd meridian west, which was interesting because I pointed out on September 4th how the date of September 4th was 93 days from December 6th, or 6/12, syncing with the verse from Revelation. We'll come back to this earthquake and the number of earthquakes by the numbers, which have been caused by planted underground bombs from the several decades worth of underground atomic and nuclear weapons testing. But before that, we need to talk about one more fire that was set by the numbers. Okay? Dollywood employee finds lone Bible page while cleaning up after fire. Yeah, right, you lying bastard. Ain't I found shit? Jesus, what is this? Man. On November 23rd, 2016, the Great Smoky Mountains wildfires would begin. That was the day leaving 38 days left in the year, a number symbolizing fire. And out of this ritual would come the greatest biblical mocking I've seen to date. The day after the fire began, November 29th, news would break of a lone surviving burnt page of the King James Bible being found at the residence of Dolly Parton, known as Dollywood. The page remaining was from the book of Joel, which is the 29th book of the Bible, where fire has reverse reduction gematria of 29. The verse that was most easily still read was Joel 1:19. There you go, 1:19, all seeing eye. Orthodox, Star of David. Oh my God. Joel 1:19 of all verses. A verse that had to do with fire and which also happened to correspond with the gematria of King James Bible, as well as Dolly Parton's January 19th, 1946 birthday, which can also be expressed as 119. Let us decode King James Bible and examine the verse more carefully in light of the date, which was the anniversary of the recognition of Israel as a nation, where Star of David has gematria of 119, same as Orthodox. That date was November 29th, 1947. Boy, some lying mother effers. King James Bible equates to 119 in ordinal cipher. Dolly Parton equates to 119 LCH Kabbalah. Tennessee equates to 119 reverse reduction, E counted as 22. King James Bible equates to 49 in septenary. And the date 11/29/2016, you would add 11 plus 29 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 6, that equates to 49. The word Lord equates to 49 in ordinal. Revelation equates to 49 in reduction. Book of Joel equates to 49 in Chaldean. King James Bible equates to 38 Chaldean. Book of Joel equates to 43 in reduction. Fire equates to 43, reverse reduction, E counted as 22. Book of Joel equates to 106 in ordinal. Prophecy equals 106 in ordinal. Tennessee equates to 106 in ordinal. So, the verse, Joel 1, chapter 1, verse 19, King James Version, 119. Okay. O Lord, to thee will I cry, for the fire hath devoured the pastures of the wilderness, and the flame hath burnt all the trees of the field. Yes. And here's a headline. See Dolly Parton, Miley Cyrus sing grooving Jolene on The Voice. The same day the story broke about the Bible page being found at Dolly's residence, she was making a guest appearance on the TV show The Voice, singing alongside of Miley Cyrus, singing her 1974 hit song Jolene, a name that isn't too far off from the name of Joel. Let us decode the name of the song, which came out 42 years earlier, noticing how it syncs with fire in reduction and reverse reduction gematria. And keep in mind that Miley Cyrus was born November 23rd, 1992, the same day the fire began, leaving 38 days left in the year, and as a reminder, a number corresponding with fire. So the word Jolene equates to 25 in reduction. Jolene equates to 29 reverse reduction. Fire equates to 29 and 25. Fire equates to 70 in reverse ordinal. Dolly Parton was 70 years old at the time. The Voice equates to 42 in reduction. Joel equates to 42 in ordinal. The Voice equates to 38 in septenary. Adding insult to injury, Jolene was recorded May 22nd, 1973, the 142nd day of the year, before its release the following year. That was a date with numerology of 119. So 5/22/1973, you would add 5 plus 22 plus 19 plus 73 equates to 119. In light of the song Jolene releasing in 74, I should mention that Smokey, as in Smokey the Bear, has gematria of 74, who Dolly had just done a commercial with as the fires began. The name Smokey also has gematria of 25 and 29, corresponding with fire. The character was invented in the year 44, matching the gematria of Dollywood as well. The ritual couldn't have been any more obvious. I should also notate, in light of Tennessee and Book of Joel connecting to prophecy, the town that got the worst of the fire was Gatlinburg, and Gatlinburg equates to 666 in Sumerian cipher. Prophecy equates to 666 in the Jewish cipher. Speaking of prophecy, the day after the Tennessee fire began, a massive fire in the biblical land of Haifa, Israel, Haifa, Haifa, Israel, which was blamed on terror. Okay, so I need to read that again. Speaking of prophecy, the day after the Tennessee fire began, a massive fire started in the biblical land of Haifa, Israel, which was blamed on terror. Consider the verse about the fire from Joel is pertaining to the same biblical region of the world that Israel is in, the nation that's statehood was recognized on a date with numerology of 106, November 29, 1947. Now let us examine how Haifa corresponds with fire. Haifa, that equates to 25 in ordinal and reduction ciphers. Haifa also equates to 29 reverse reduction. Haifa equates to 38 reverse reduction. H counted as 10. Following the pattern of riddles on December 2nd, 2016, or 12/2, A fire would break out in Oakland, California on the 122nd meridian west, and where the local basketball team known as the Golden State has ordinal gematria of 122 as well. So December 12th will be looked at as 122. 12/2/122. Okay. The night of that fire, the team they would meet in the NBA Finals later that season, the Cleveland Cavaliers, was playing in Chicago, the city that suffered the Great Chicago Fire. The Great Chicago Fire. Consider the address of the fire in Oakland was at 1305 31st Avenue. As we decode Great Chicago Fair. Fire. I don't know why I keep saying fair, but it's fire. Consider the address. The fire in Oakland was at 1305 31st Avenue as we decode Great Chicago Fire. Okay? So, Great Chicago Fire equates to 135 in ordinal. Great Chicago Fire equates to 223 in the ALW Kabbalah cipher. And I am going to end my reading of chapter 19. And I am on page 528. And I will continue with a second reading and probably get this up and out tonight. And then the longest chapter after chapter 19 will be chapter 20. So I don't know how long it's going to take us to get through chapter 20. Hopefully not too long, because that's another important chapter, because chapter 20 is murder by numbers. And it will be a fascinating chapter, eye-opening as well. And but until then, everyone have a good night. Get these books, Letters and Numbers, written by Zachry K. Hubbard, as well as Number Games. All right. Thank you, and have a good one.